If a successful property exists, there will be no doubt similar and cheaper properties that will try to capitalize and cash in on the more successful franchise by creating things with similarities. When I first started collecting Digimon and other virtual pets, I was fairly cautious of bootlegs and made sure not to buy any, but lately I've fallen for their slightly off charm. While Digimon bootlegs aren't as plentiful as they once were, a few of the bootleg Digivices have actually been popping up on AliExpress lately. Of course, I did pick up a weird Digimon Game Boy Color game called Digimon 2 when I was a kid, though I did do a pretty poor quality video on this fairly early on in this YouTube channel's life. And fun fact, it was actually how I heard the song Butterfly for the first time. My favourite bootleg Digimon virtual pets are the DigiKing bootlegs, which are more or less kind of just akin to the Bunny ROM virtual pets, which I've done a video on in the past, where they're what you would call a multi-pet. They advertise 200 in one, and maybe they actually do have 40 characters, but some of them are repeating. But the DigiKing Digimon bootlegs are Bunny ROM, but with more of a Digimon focus. They can range from not looking like any existing Digimon toy to looking exactly like an existing Digivice or virtual pet, but with some odd choices of colours, such as the Game King bootleg of the Digivice data link, which even has similar packaging to the official release. The only main giveaway is the Bandai logo, which, funnily enough, the characters here can be read as Godai, which honestly just tickles me a fair bit. If you're worried about finding a bootleg virtual pet or anything Digimon related, don't worry too much because they aren't as common as they once were, and they don't really seem to exist for the newer ones anyway, outside of the dim cards for the Vital Bracelet. Typically, there are a few giveaways other than the logo, such as advertising 100 in 1 or 10 in 1 or similar, and the bootleg virtual pets seem to mainly be on AliExpress as well. Obviously, if you stick to sites like Japan You Want, Zen and TCG, etc., you're not going to come across any bootlegs, but of course if you're on AliExpress or eBay, still have some caution, but they don't seem as plentiful as they once were. Other similar releases include a Pendulum Progress in vibrant colours with Hello Kitty characters available, and a Pendulum Original bootleg with surprisingly high quality feeling plastic, which feels more like the original but has weirdly huge sprites. So I'm a big fan of the Pendulum Original bootleg actually. I really like the shell colour. The Progress is pretty decent as well, but I had some issue with the batteries that just didn't seem to fit in the battery position, so I kind of had to hold the door down when I was playing around with it, and overall the gameplay on the Progress is the same as on my Game King Data Link bootleg, but the game on the Pendulum Original bootleg, the Pick-a-Boy I believe it's called, feels kind of, it's definitely more of a bootleg. It seems to be almost one for one of the Pendulum, but it feels a little bit more solid and a little bit more like a virtual pet than the Game King ones. Between the bootleg Progress and the bootleg Pendulum Original, I kind of wish Bandai released virtual pets in more vibrant translucent colours, as there aren't enough translucent light blue and purple virtual pets. As I mentioned, the Pendulum Progress that I have seems to have the same programming as the Digigame Data Link, and while the Progress has prongs and the data link comes with a little chip to scan, neither functionality seems to actually exist on the toy itself. Again, I do appreciate that the Pendulum Original seems to have its own unique programming, and there appear to be two variations of the Pendulum Original bootleg. Both say Kitty Boy on the box, but one appears to be called the Kitty Boy. It launches and says Kitty Boy, while the other one, which as far as I can tell is called a Pick-a-Boy, just goes straight to an egg when you start it. So there are two different of those pretty cute little Pendulum Originals, these seem to actually pop up locally in somewhere in Canada. I want to say Vancouver. Toxmo on the Digitama Hatchery was able to hook me up with this bootleg. They acted as a proxy for me. So I don't know why they're all coming from Canada. I also got my Pendulum Progress from Rude Boy Newbie, who appears to be some rapper that for some reason has Pendulum Progresses on his merch site. I don't know either. It's pretty cool. I just thought that I'd mention that for some reason they appear to be coming from Canada, which is not where I'd expect it, but go off, I guess. Something that I should mention that annoys me about these bootlegs is that, and especially with the Game King and the Pick-a-Boy Pendulum, is that the buttons don't seem to focus like their real-life counterparts. So with the buttons being A, B, and C in that order, they tend to be more like C, A, and B in that order, which is very confusing when they don't seem to work the same way that you would expect other virtual pets to work. There are, of course, and this is like an honourable mention to other franchises, but there are, of course, other various Digimon-like franchises that have suspiciously similar virtual pet games released alongside them. Distal and Zinba both come to mind immediately, though they are more or less their own franchises, and their manufacturer, M&D, is an official toy company in China, so I don't really count these as bootlegs, and perhaps I'll do a video on the Distal and Zinba virtual pets because there are quite a lot of them, and some of them do, yes, seem fairly Digimon virtual pet inspired. There's one that just is a lot like the IC, there's one that more or less resembles a pendulum. In some colours even has it the same as the Pendulum 20 colour schemes, so they may be inspired by Digimon, but they're technically not bootlegs because they are from their own animated franchise and are manufactured by an actual toy company in China. Just thought I'd give an honourable mention to them because a lot of people do talk about Distal and Zinba when they're talking about Digimon bootlegs, but I don't count them as such because they are essentially their own thing. They're not necessarily trying to be just someone buy it and instead of thinking about Digimon. It is actually meant to be an in-game Digivice sort of thing for their own franchise. I just thought I'd mention that. So there weren't just virtual pets. There are, of course, toys, which some are also labelled, funnily enough, as Digikings, such as the Batman Lobomon that I've posted on Twitter before. And I actually did ask for submissions for this video, and fellow Atmon enjoyer Harujin on Twitter was kind enough to share photos of their beautiful collection of bootleg plushies. And, y'all, honestly, I was not mentally prepared for the Garudamon, nor was I prepared for the Wegarurumon of these plushies. They are definitely some fairly interesting bootleg plushies. I'm really glad that these were shared, especially the Garudamon. I saw it, I saw the small thumbnail preview, and then I clicked on the image and I was like, oh, alrighty then. So thank you so much for submitting your plushies. And then of course Digimon Professor Jordan was also kind enough to share footage of several of his wonderful bootleg figures, which are all hilarious in their own way. Bootleg figures from various franchises used to be fairly all the rage back then, and some of them were really bizarre and weirdly coloured. Now, miscoloured bootlegs are oddly charming in their own way, and were honestly fairly common back in the day for just about any franchise that you could come across. You would go to a $2 shop, and there would always be not quite right figures that were called Pocket Pals or Digital Men, and they were all clearly meant to be Digimon, but their colours were always a bit off. I don't know if that was a legally distinct thing, that their colours had to be we have to have green Agumon and pink Gabumon, that sort of nature of things, or if they just went with the paints that they had, or if it was a mixture between the two. I kind of want to know. I know I had a lot of bootleg Pokemon shirts back in the day. I kind of wish that I had bootleg Digimon shirts as well, but they always had some really weird colours, really weird use of the colour yellow and green, especially. In any case, those are some other options for bootlegs as well. And there's something honestly so nostalgic and calming about bootleg figures and plushies. And again, part of me is honestly a little bit annoyed with myself that I was so vigilant and adamant to not pick up any virtual pets that were bootlegs or plush toys or anything that were bootlegs or possible bootlegs back in the day, because some of them are just so wonderful and I'm a big fan of them. I do, of course, and I've mentioned this before on, I believe, Twitter, I do, of course, have a few of the, I believe they're called play-by-play Palmons. I am not sure if these are official or not. I don't know if they're officially licensed. I have a feeling they might actually be officially licensed just by some random company in another country, and these Palmon just look really weird. I love them. I need more of them. If you know where I can get more of them, send them to me. I love the play-by-play. I think that's the company called Palmon. They are just so derpy. They are probably like my favorite things. I love Palmon in general, so especially like a derpy Palmon, I'm just like, oh yes, I love this. So, big fan of that. And that's basically all I want to say about bootlegs for this video. I've been wanting to cover bootlegs for quite some time, and I made a post on Twitter, and then Lismet was like, hey, have you thought about asking for submissions? And I was like, maybe. And then Harujin was like, here, I got you, fam. And then just shared all their wonderful bootleg plushies. So thank you for that. And of course, thank you to Digimon Professor Jordan. And while I'm saying thank you to the Kid1617 for sending me the Digimon Next Order beanie. I will take it off one day. Today is not that day. I have washed my hair. I did have to take it off for the shower, but otherwise it lives on my head because it is fairly cold at the moment. So good timing for that. Thank you so much for sending that through. I love when I get mail in my PO box, especially when it's mail from someone who likes my channel. Yay! So thank you for that. And in any case, that's all I wanted to cover for this video. If I get more bootlegs, I'll probably do another update video at some point, or I will do a TikTok or short about them too, because I just love bootlegs. What's not to love? But in any case, let me know your thoughts, comments, questions, etc. in the comment section below. Like this video for bootleg appreciation, subscribe if you haven't already, and of course, I am still trying to get to 14,000 subscribers by my birthday, June 6th, so please subscribe if you haven't already. I'm also trying to get to 15,000 subscribers by the end of the year. So if you have subscribed, tell your friends, tell your families, tell the random people that you used to go to $2 stores with, I guess. Is that like, is that going to age me to do $2 stores still exist? Like, can you just go into a $2 store with your like weekly allowance and buy like a random bootleg of something? Or is that something that's just going to age me? Who knows? But in any case, like, comment, subscribe, etc. And of course, I'll see you in the next video. Bye!